Do you still have your save file from the very first time you played Pokemon? Chances are you don't, and trust me, you're not alone. My first journey through Heart Gold is lost to time, but today I aim to fix that by playing through this copy of Heart Gold with the intention of never resetting it. This is the story of my Heart Gold Forever save. If it's your first time here, I'll quickly go over what exactly a forever save is. Essentially, this series is more focused on the experience rather than progression. This means sometimes I may explore optional areas and show off unique locations throughout the game. In addition, I'm going to be battling every trainer, collecting every item, and catching every Pokemon that I can. I also like to touch on the dex entries in these games, so you might learn something new while watching. This is part 3 of my Heart Gold Forever save, and while you can enjoy this video without having seen the previous ones, I highly recommend checking them out. With that out of the way, let's jump right into it. Last time, we had just beaten Price, and now we're tasked with dealing with Team Rocket in Goldenrod City. This brings us to a really cool part of the game where we actually get to dress up as a Team Rocket grunt, even if only briefly. Since there's no Pokemon to catch here, I take Smeargle off the team and replace it with our Snorunt, who I go ahead and evolve into Frostlass. With this, I'm able to head inside of the radio tower, and the grunt guarding the stairs allows me to pass. But not before our rival shows up and shames us for stooping as low as becoming a member of Team Rocket. There are so many grunts inside this tower, so I'm going to briefly touch on this channel's content. In case you're unaware, I have a Patreon that I link in all of my videos, with the only real benefit being that you get your name at the end of all my videos. I really want to provide some extra benefits there without locking any of my content behind a paywall. Ideally, this is a way you guys can go above and beyond to support me while still feeling like you're getting your $5 worth. I've had a few suggestions like uploading weekly Nuzlocke episodes there, a setup tour, or a behind the scenes of how I edit these videos. This channel's content is and always will be free, so I don't want anyone to worry that I'm going to ask you guys to pay for any of the ongoing series here on the channel, but maybe starting a side series over there that focuses on something a little different than my usual content could be interesting. Oh, and also there's a completely free tier over on my Patreon, so if you have a second, I'd really appreciate it if you went and checked it out. There, I like to post Q&As, polls, and video updates for anyone to see. Of course, the easiest and best way to support me is and always will be subscribing to the channel. As I'm writing the script, we're getting really close to 20,000 subscribers, so hopefully we can hit it today if we haven't already. Alright, I promise I won't plug anything else in this video, so let's jump back into it. At the top, we're tasked with challenging Petrol for the second time. His team consists of exclusively the Coughing line, so it really takes no time to take his team down. Once defeated, we're given the basement key, which can be used to access an area in the Goldenrod tunnel. Outside is a Komodo girl who we speak with briefly before unlocking the door with our new key. There's quite a few trainers here, but nothing too bad. I will also say that I'm having a really good time using Frostlass. She's a Pokemon that I've always liked, but I was always too afraid to hunt one in Platinum because I was worried that I would get a bunch of male Snorunt and end up wasting a bunch of time. And while my first shiny Snorunt was a male, I ended up getting this gal on my second try, which was really exciting. There are a few items to collect here though, so let's grab them. A full heal, a smoke ball, an ultra ball, a max potion, a max ether, a revive, by the way this grunt running is kinda funny, the sleep talk TM, the card key, and an amulet coin. Back in the radio tower, I collect an Ultra Ball, but there's also 3 Team Rocket admins that I need to take down. First is Proton, who we previously encountered in Slowpoke Well. His Golbat is bested by a couple of Iron Heads, and his Weezing is bested by a few more. We can then head upstairs and run into our second opponent, being Ariana. Her Arbok hits Lairon with an Intimidate, but 2 Earthquakes is still more than enough to take it down. Vileplume is her next Pokemon, so I decide to swap into Frostlass, who takes it down with an Ice Beam. Finally is Murkrow, who falls to one last Ice Beam. These two were really just a warm up for the real show though, being Archer. He leads Houndour, who falls to an Earthquake from Lairon, and then follows with a Houndoom. Luckily, Vaporeon Surf is just enough to pick up the KO. Finally is Coughing, who falls to one final Surf. Upon defeat, Archer runs off before the director meets us up here. He hands us the Rainbow Wing, which will of course be used to summon Ho-Oh. But first, there's one last gym we need to take care of. After making our way back to Mahogany Town, we can head east to Route 44. As we run through these trainers, we're back of course with some more Jhoto trivia. If you haven't seen the previous sections, essentially I ask 3 questions and you do your best to answer them. Also, people are still saying the questions were easy last time, so we're upping the difficulty yet again. How many coins does it cost to buy a Dratini from the game corner? Pause for a moment if you need to, but the answer is 2,100 coins. Question 2. Which of these Pokemon cannot be found at the bug catching contest at any point? A. Volbeat, B. Nincada, C. Kricketune, or D. Surskit? Again, pause if you need to as this one's a little bit tricky, but the answer is D. Surskit. Alright, question 3. If you choose the male character, your neighbor will be the female character Lyra, but if you choose the female character, your neighbor is instead a male. What is that character's name? Again, pause if you need to, but the answer is Ethan. Be sure to let me know how many you got right down in the comments, and if these were still too easy. With that out of the way, let's grab some items. A red apricorn, a max repel, a max revive, an elixir, and an ultra ball. As far as the Pokemon here, there's more here than you might expect to find, and the first I encountered was a Lickitung. Its tongue has well-developed nerves that run to the very tip, so it can be deftly manipulated. Lickitung, I feel like, is an overhated Pokemon. I've never used one myself, but with its gorgeous shiny, don't be surprised if I pick one up for a future forever save. Second here is Tangela. The vines that cloak its entire body are always jiggling. They effectively unnerve its foes. I don't like Tangela if I'm being honest, but I have used this line exactly one time. In my first playthrough of Black 2, I had a Tangrowth on my main team, and I remember it being surprisingly good. Following that is Weepinbell. Even though it is filled with acid, it does not melt because it also oozes a protective fluid. There's not a whole lot for me to say about this Pokemon. It has a big mouth, and I don't really like it. Second to last here is Poliwhirl. The swirl on its belly subtly undulates. Staring at it may gradually cause drowsiness. Personally, I'm on Team Politoed. However, Poliwrath has a pretty unique typing. They both have great shinies, so it's not an easy choice. Last here is the 5% Remoraid, which took way too long to find. It has superb accuracy. The water it shoots out can strike moving prey more than 300 feet away. I feel kind of bad for my relationship with Octillery. I've used it for one thing, and that is exclusively the Suction Cup's ability for chain fishing in X and Y. You deserve better, Octillery. This route then connects to the Ice Cave, but there aren't any trainers here, so I'm going to go ahead and collect the 3 new Pokemon available here. First up is Swinub. It rubs its snout on the ground to find and dig up food. It sometimes discovers hot springs. I'm not sure if anyone else thinks this, but I absolutely hate Mamoswine's back sprite in almost every game. I love its front sprite, and when I first saw it, I really wanted to use one, but the back sprite is just so bad that it's prevented me from using one on any team. Next up is Golbat. However hard its victim's hide may be, it punctures with sharp fangs and gorges itself with blood. Golbat has definitely earned a spot in the top 5 most annoying Pokemon of all time. Going against one of these, it always seems to have Confuse Ray and a move that poisons you. And whenever I use one, it feels pretty underwhelming and feels like it's too weak to do anything. At least until it evolves into Crobat. Last here is the 5% Jinx, which took almost 30 minutes to find. It rocks its body rhythmically. It appears to alter the rhythm depending on how it is feeling. This is completely unrelated to the series, but I'm playing through Black 2 with a friend of mine while using only baby Pokemon, and Smoochum has been the absolute MVP of my team. Psychic plus Ice Beam has been really nice coverage and has hard carried me through a good chunk of the game. Alright, let's collect the long list of items here in the Ice Cave. A Max Potion, the Waterfall 8 Gym, an Ice Heal, another Max Potion, a Carbos, a Full Heal, the Nevermelt Ice, the Avalanche TM, an Iron, a Revive, a Protein, and a PP Up. After a lot of sliding around, we finally reach the cave's exit and arrive in Blackthorn City. Normally, there would be no items to collect here, but it happened to be Saturday, so one of the weak siblings are here and they gave me a soft sand. We could head south and explore Route 45, but I plan on saving that for after the gym, so let's head inside. I have fond memories of specifically this gym because, well, I wasn't smart enough to figure it out. I had to beg my babysitter to help me get to Claire the first time I played, and watching him solve the puzzle made me think he was a super smart person. Unfortunately, the Pokemon from the journey have been lost to time, which is one of the reasons I'm making these Forever Save videos in the first place. Knowing that this journey will always be here for me to look back on is really important to me, and I encourage you to try it out for yourself if you haven't already. At the back of the gym, we meet up with Claire and challenge her to a battle. Her team was actually pretty difficult for me as our levels aren't all that far apart. Regardless, Gyarados fell to a Shadow Ball, Dragonair falls to an Ice Beam, her second Dragonair also falls to an Ice Beam, and Kingdra falls to a Rolling Kick. Claire claims we don't deserve the gym badge, but that she'd be willing to give it to us anyways if we somehow pass the quiz down in the Dragon's Den. Before attempting it though, I make sure to grab the items, being a Revive, a Calcium, a Max Potion, a Max Elixir, a Dragon Fang, and a second Max Elixir. At the back of the cave, there's a shrine, and inside is the Dragon Master who asks if we'd like to take on his quiz. If you're interested, you can choose the same answers as I did, which will ensure that you get the gift Dratini that always knows the special move Extreme Speed. Admittedly, this is probably the first time I've ever passed with all the correct answers for that, but we'll come back for the Dratini a little bit later. Claire barges in assuming we failed, but to her absolute shock, we've actually passed the test on our first try. Upset by this, she has no choice but to hand over the final gym badge, meaning we've officially collected all 8 of them. Upon exiting, we get a call from Professor Elm to come meet up with him, but there's a couple things I need to take care of first. In the Pokemart, I finally pick up some packages from Mom, but since most of them are berries, I'm only going to cover the Moonstone, which will come in handy later. Before heading back to the lab, we need to take on Route 45. This route is a long one since the paths branch, and you'll need to fly back to Blackthorn City multiple times. By this point, my Shelgon was level 48, so I fed her 2 rare candies and finally evolved her into the powerful Salamence. This allows me to finally have a Pokemon with Fly in my party, so this route will now be a lot easier to complete. During this section, I was starting to get really nervous. The Ho-Oh hunt was just around the corner, and while I've hunted a few Pokemon at full 1 in 8, 192 odds, I've never attempted to hunt down a legendary like this. I've seen people go 10, 20, and even 30,000 encounters for stuff like this, and the fear that this hunt would take actual months to complete was really starting to get to me. But I couldn't just abandon the hunt. I mean, I hadn't even started yet. I could get really lucky. I mean, who really knows? I'm a pretty patient person. I've collected hundreds of shinies and even subjected myself to the torture that was soft resetting for a shiny starter in Pokemon X and Y, which has an insane 3 to 4 minute cutscene before you can even check your Pokemon. But I still want to put out high quality videos every week, so I didn't want this hunt to consume me. I needed to find a compromise, and that's exactly what I did. You may have noticed that last week I uploaded a video on the Professor Oak's challenge here on the channel. It's the perfect side quest for me since it requires little attention as most of it is button mashing through wild battles. But would that really help get me through the Ho-Oh hunt? Well, you'll see for yourself very, very soon. There actually aren't a ton of items here, but I did of course make sure to get them all. An elixir, a full heal, a nugget, a revive, a PP up, a green apricorn, and a max potion. With that, let's collect our last set of Pokemon before this hunt. First up is Graveler. With a free and uncaring nature, it doesn't mind if pieces break off while it rolls down mountains. Graveler is so carefree. He lives a simple life just rolling around the mountains, and honestly, I envy him. Following that is Gligar. It flies straight at its target's face, then clamps down on the startled victim to inject poison. Gliscor is a very special Pokemon to me because it's the first shiny alpha I ever hunted in Legends Arceus. I always hated that it couldn't learn Fly, so I've been avoiding using one on any Forever Save teams. But maybe I can look past that, and in Platinum, you might just see one make the team. Finally here is Phanpy. It swings its long snout around playfully, but because it is so strong, that can be dangerous. I refuse to believe that. Phanpy can't possibly be dangerous. He's just a little guy, and as a trainer, I don't think I could ever bring myself to evolve one. He's perfect just the way he is. Just below here is Route 46. There's no new Pokemon to collect though, so after a few trainers, I'm able to grab a green apricorn, a yellow apricorn, and an X speed. I then make my way back over to New Bark Town and meet up with the professor. Here, he gives us the Master Ball, which is really important because I did not want to attempt to shiny hunt Ho-Oh without one. Before we can head up Bow Tower, there's one last thing we need to do, and that is to take on the 5 Kimono girls that we've helped throughout our journey. They each have an evolution, and even though we're using a traded team, these gals still put up quite a fight. First up is Umbreon, who we can take care of pretty easily. Second is Espeon, who unfortunately takes out my Frostlass, but Hitmontop is able to clean it up with the Fake Out. Third is Flareon, who falls to a Surf from Vaporeon. Fourth is Jolteon, who Salamence is able to take out. And finally is a Vaporeon versus Vaporeon stalemate, which takes almost 2 full minutes before mine comes out on top. With the Komodo girls taken down, we now have their blessing to summon Ho-Oh. Outside of the tower is one of my favorite locations in all of Jhoto, Bell Chime Trail. It's a very small area, but the attention to detail here is some of the best in any Pokemon game. The fall colors and the leaves on the ground really make this place feel magical. But before tackling this tower, there's one more preparation I need to make. Ho-Oh is level 45 and our Smeargle is only level 41. In my Platinum, I've got one that's a little bit higher level, and I changed its nickname to Ho-Oh Please before trading it over for extra luck. With that, we're ready to tackle the tower. But before we can get to Ho-Oh, there are a ton of items in here that we need to collect, so let's get started. A full heal, a max potion, an ultra ball, a PP up, an escape rope, a rare candy, a full restore, a max potion, another full heal, a max revive, an HP up, a nugget, a max elixir, a Carbos, and a full restore. With the items complete, we make our way to the end of this maze of a tower and climb up the final ladder. At the top, one of Pokemon's most beautiful cutscenes plays, and I truly believe this moment right here is one of the reasons I fell in love with these games as a kid. The time and effort the developers put in to make such a cinematic scene on the DS is truly unrivaled. As Ho-Oh descends, I prepare myself for the hunt of all hunts to find this beautiful golden bird. Of course, I can't expect much on my first few resets, but the chance is the same on each one, so you never know. I've also played my Japanese copy of Heart Gold up to this point, so I'll be double hunting Ho-Oh so that it doesn't take multiple months to complete. My goal was to do 1000 resets a day, which is a pretty tall order since that takes almost 4 hours on the dot. In the mornings, I would do 500 and then another 500 before bed. Also, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to use a face cam here, but I went for it anyways. I know I don't normally use them, but I thought capturing my genuine reaction would be a really cool thing to look back on. Oh, and also if you see me constantly looking up, that's because I have a TV above my monitors on my desk, so most of this hunt I was watching Netflix or YouTube. But I know you guys have been waiting the entire video for this moment. So this is how I found Shiny Ho-Oh in Pokemon Heart Gold.
No! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It's on the Forever Save copy! It's on the Forever Save copy! Oh my gosh! It's here! Wait. I had to remove the rubber bands. Let me show. No cheats. This on my capture card copy. This, oh my gosh. This card is a capture card. No action replay. No nothing. That is the Shiny Ho-Oh. Oh my gosh, I'm actually shaking. I'm shaking. Alright. Here we go. The Master Ball. We've officially captured Ho-Oh. Wow.
Legends claim this Pokemon flies the world's skies continuously on its magnificent 7-colored wings. Words cannot describe how excited I am to get this. To some, this is some alternate colored pixels that I wasted hours of my life to get, but to me, it's so much more. I decided to name this Ho-Oh Sunset because the colors really capture that golden look. This shiny Pokemon means so much to me. Ho-Oh is the box legendary of my first ever Pokemon game, and shiny hunting it here specifically makes it feel so much more special. I could have of course hunted it through the wormholes in Ultra Sun and Moon, and while that would have been significantly faster, having it here in Johto is its home. I don't ever plan on transferring it out of this game, and I'm very happy to have gotten it so under odds on the Forever Save file too. I was really worried this hunt was going to take weeks or even months, and I had been working really hard on the Professor Oak challenge so that I could focus a lot of time onto this hunt without having to skip any uploads. I know this video is relatively short for my standards, but it just feels right to end it with this absolutely beautiful shiny bird. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I put out high quality content like this every Monday morning, so I really hope you'll consider subscribing. Also, I will really try to make my next upload a little bit on the longer side, as I know the uploads have been getting a little bit shorter as of the past few weeks. Next time, we'll be taking on the league and diving into the post game, so I really hope to see you there.